going on, everybody? My name is Baloo and welcome to the jungle. This is the channel where we take a very simple approach to technical analysis. We take a look at the price in the context of volume using the Wyckoff method. If that is something that interests you, then why don't you hit the subscribe button? I do this every single day, except for the days that I don't. And it's been a while. So my apologies for the lack of content. I just moved out of my apartment in Los Angeles. I am now in quarantine in Canada, so I've got plenty of time and no excuses to provide content for you guys. In today's video, I am going to take a look at Bitcoin. It's been a while, so let's take a look at what is going on with the market leader. So jumping right into the price of Bitcoin here. Got Bitcoin on the chart. Let's start out zoomed out. Okay, so we have two different ranges here. So I'm just gonna delete this one here for a sec. Just ignore the pink marks here, and we're just going to take a look at the larger range here. So we've been in a very big uptrend. You can see uptrend, making higher highs, higher lows, and then finally we had a significant sell-off. So what that significant sell-off is a change of character. So you need to make notes of these changes of character. Change of character. So the change of character, whenever you find a change of character, that's when you need to define the trading range so you can see how the price is behaving inside of the range to make a decision on bias, whether you're going to assume that it is bearish or you are going to assume that it is bullish. So we have established our change of character here, and we're just going to zoom into that level and see what we can see. So I'm going to just stretch this out, bring that up a bit. Let's go ahead and turn the VPVR off for a moment. Let's turn that off. We don't need that right now. And we have our trading range here. So as you can see right here, we came up, the supply was coming in here at our preliminary supply, PSY. So you could see the spike in the volume there. We then continued up to our buyer's climax right at the top of the range. From the buyer's climax, we had a sell-off. Okay, the sell-off was our automatic reaction. In Wyckoff, you have AR in the context of a rally, and you have AR in the context of a reaction. Automatic rally, automatic reaction. So the difference or the spread between the buyer's climax and the automatic reaction sets your trading range. So that's what we have right here. Let me just clean up this chart here before we get too messy. And then we started to climb for our secondary test. Now that is on the macro, so that's kind of the larger range. If you take a look at the spread of this, if we go from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, you can see that it's a 20% spread. So there's 20% of, from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, we have 20% that we can trade with. That's a very large trading range that is pretty advantageous if you are an intraday trader or somebody looking to get into the smaller swings. Now, that's kind of the bullish trading range, or it's kind of a neutral trading range. We don't have enough information inside of the trading range just yet to really ascertain whether this is an accumulation or if it's a distribution. We're going to know more in the coming days, so right now we're just kind of waiting to see what's going on. Now, there is another trading range inside of this larger range that I'm paying attention to. So right around here was kind of the initial change of character. It was the larger preliminary supply, but it is also a change of character as well. So I'm going to grab the trading range here and I'm going to pull that across, trying to fit as much of the price action in as possible. And then I'm going to drag it down to the automatic reaction here. And now this is kind of painting a little bit of a different picture. So here we have the buyer's climax, automatic reaction, kind of setting the width of the range. We then consolidated inside, we made it above, And after we got above, we fell through for our sign of weakness. You can see the sign of weakness right here. So really big sell-off, came on a lot of volume, a lot of available supply inside of this trading range at this point. We then bounced off of that, got bought back into the range, tested it, which is good, that's healthy. We came up again and we fell through, so that's not exactly great. Also, when we came up here, we didn't quite poke out of the top of the range, but what happened is we did get another sell-off for a sign of weakness. Anytime you're at the top of the range and the price action falls through the floor of the bottom of the range, you need to consider that a sign of weakness. So we got a major sign of weakness here, and we got a minor sign of weakness here. This is a minor sign of weakness, because it did get bought up very, very quickly, indicating that there are buyers in the market. There is demand present, but secondly, it didn't fall anywhere near as far as this sign of weakness back here. So it's a minor sign of weakness. It's not something super significant, but the price did go down, so the ability to push price down was there. It was relatively easy to push price down at the time. Now we're kind of testing the bottom of this trading range right here. So this is potentially a last point of supply, LPSY. Last point of supply, a bearish retest of a pattern, and this is where you want to zoom in and kind of determine whether you want to take a short position. So in Wyckoff, anytime there is an LPS, a last point of support, that is an opportunity that allows you a large position into a potential long. Now the converse to that is the LPSY, the last point of supply. This is an opportunity to get in on a short. So I'm going to drop down to the 5-minute chart and just zoom in on this area right here and see what we can see. So zooming in here. Now let's kind of dissect. So I've been watching this all day here, just trying to make a decision if I want to make an entry onto this potential LPSY. Probably by the time you're watching this video, it's going to be a lot more developed, and we may have already had a breakdown, or we may have had a recovery. We don't exactly know. But let's break it down regardless. This channel is not intended to be financial advice. This channel is not intended to be trading signals. This channel is strictly for educational purposes only. I'm here to teach you guys kind of the process of what it means to learn to analyze charts without indicators using the Wyckoff method. And if that's something that's really interesting to you, there is a free Discord down below. Join the community. We can get you set up with a bunch of PDFs and a bunch of free learning materials so that you can learn to analyze charts in this way. I find it very powerful because it's not a form of technical analysis that focuses on the buy signals. It's a form of technical analysis that focuses on the amount of selling pressure that exists in the asset at any given time. So where other TA will tell you when to buy, this one is just telling you where the strength is, and it's very different from a lot of other methods. So I highly encourage you to at least kind of try and wrap your head around it and try and figure it out, because I personally love it. Discord link down below. So here we have our local buyer's climax, okay, right here. This is kind of setting the range, the buyer's climax and the automatic reaction, they set the trading range. So we have the width of our trading range here. That is phase A right here. Okay, now we are in phase B. Phase B, we have a secondary test. Secondary test right here. We came up, we got a upwards test up here. We did poke through and we got rejected with a little bit of supply. You can see a little bit of a supply signature coming in there. So this is kind of like a minor up thrust. And then from that point on, we came down to the bottom for another test. No sign of weakness. So up until this point, we're relatively neutral. When you're in an uptrend, you do have to kind of have a bias. So in an uptrend, your bias will be bullish. So any reaccumulation that you would be analyzing would be to the upside, but considering that we are in a large pattern at the upper end of the range, the pattern that I showed you at the beginning of the video, the yellow trading range just after the secondary test, and in the smaller range inside of that, we're looking right now at a bearish retest. So the bias for this local move on the 5-minute chart is a bearish bias. We're trying to build the case around a bearish bias. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And when we came off of this level, we did break through the range. We were unable, or it's looking as though we're unable to get above it right now. We are kind of testing this secondary line here. We'll have to see. You know, I'm not placing a trade yet. I'm just not placing a trade yet. So right in this area right here, this is potentially, at the time of recording this video, this is an up thrust after distribution. Okay, so this is kind of like if we get a sign of weakness from this point forth, like if we get a sign of weakness down here, we may get a recovery down to the mean. We may even get a test down at the bottom of the range that holds, and then another sign of weakness, and then a bearish test. Now this bearish test right here, that's where I would be entering a short, down at this position right here. So yes, you miss a lot of the move, you know, but the overall trend, we're pretty bullish inside of the space. So I don't want to take a position at the UTAD, the up thrust after distribution, because it's just kind of an irresponsible trade. I want to wait for the price action to form a sign of weakness, try and get a relief back into the range and another failure. And only when you get a test of the bottom of the range after that weakness will I have the confidence in entering a short position on Bitcoin. The supply spike, we've got a huge volume signature here as we left the range. There's a lot of supply. We have a lot of supply at this level, and that's not surprising because this entire consolidation range right here is a bearish retest on the 4-hour. So there's a lot of available supply at this level. So that's kind of what I'm looking for inside of these inside of the trading range right now, and we're going to see how it develops. Like I said, I'll be taking a trade, a short position if we do get down to something like this. Now, what would invalidate it, the bullish side, the bullish case, because we don't currently have a sign of weakness, would be, let's just get rid of all this stuff here, would be as if we hold. So if we do manage to hold here, turn that green. If we do manage to hold the top of the trading range and we start to get a mark up inside of the larger consolidation range here, and we start to hold higher highs and higher lows, well then this whole range here could be a reaccumulation, and we would then look to position maybe along the top of this local high right here, grab a position here to the long side, and then see if we could ride that above, placing a stop loss back inside the range here, because if it does come inside the range, you know that your bullish idea is no longer bullish. So you gotta cut the cord at some point. Anyways, that is all the time I have for today. If you enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and if there are any projects that you would like me to take a look at, leave them in the comment section down below. And until next time, please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.